Philadelphia, please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
When I was growing up, I had a friend who was like a latchkey kid, and he would get off the bus, and he had 2 hours to himself before his parents came home. So he'd get off the bus, he'd open the door in the house, he had full reign of the house. And we're still little, but he's like old enough to, go ahead and make himself a grilled cheese if he wants something, anything, just till his parents get home. And one day he comes home and his parents had a get together the night before, and he sees laid out just a little bit left of some wine. And he's like, oh wow, I know that this is grown-up juice, but I want to try it because I'm not supposed to have it, because I know I'm not supposed to have it, right? And so picks it up and he's weighing the options in his head. He's like, I could try it, but what if I get caught? I'd be in so much trouble. Oh, but I really want it. Maybe nobody will know. And he's going over and over it in his head to the point where he decides, I'm gonna just have a little sip. And he's bringing it to his lips, and then he ends up slipping it out of his hand, drops it, stains the carpet, right? So now he's freaking out because it's like, oh no, they'll know there wasn't a stain there when they left. This is all on me. And he did what a lot of kids would do in that scenario. He made it worse. He was like, the only thing, and I can understand he's a kid, but this is a mistake that I don't think I would have made. The best thing for him to do in that moment, he thought, was to make a bigger mess. And then that way, the stain won't be so bad. So he grabbed a rock and he threw it through the window. Which was a huge mistake because he went outside to get the rock and then threw it from inside outside. He realized what he had done as soon as he did it, so then he had to go back outside, grab the rock, carefully pick up all the glass, bring it back inside, lay out the glass next to the rock, next to the stain. And then his parents get home, and when they come home, immediately they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? And he's had an hour 20 to think up a story, So he's over here like, it was crazy. They're like, what happened? You got the rock going through the windows, all this glass on the floor and this stain. He's like, well, the stain's probably not as big of a deal as the broken window when you really think about it, right? And they're like, what happened? And he says, well, the rock came through the window and it must have hit the glass that had the wine in it, the wine that really shouldn't have been left out. That's an adult beverage. I'm a minor. And then it must have hit the perfect angle to hit that glass and this glass and then knock over and then make a stain on our beautiful 3-bedroom carpet. And his parents were like, but did you see it happen? Like, how did this happen? Did somebody throw this? And he's like, uh-oh, because he didn't think that far. And so he was like, yeah, the man threw it. And they were like, what man? And now he's in deep because he's like, yeah, what man? What am I doing? And so he's like, yeah, there was a man that, threw the rock through the window and everything. And you saw him? Yeah, I saw him. He threw it and he ran and everything. And he thought maybe that would be the end of it. But from his parents' perspective, there was someone who threw a rock into the window, maybe to get inside while their son was home. So they had more and more questions, and he didn't know what to do. He was freaking out, Next thing he knows, the police have been called, and the police come over, and they're like, what did the man look like? And they over here taking notes and stuff, and he's like, he doesn't know what to say next because he didn't think this far. And that's how I feel like Trump must feel about Epstein, because it goes so deep. It's like he didn't think this far in the lies. Like he just didn't account for it. He thought he could make it quiet, It's not going to be pitched as a direct and absolutely direct order from Trump, what the DOJ did, but the DOJ came out after interviews saying, oh, there's so much information, we're just trying to figure out how to put it out there in a way that's clear. Oh, there's so many files, there's a list of names, there's logs, there's a client list. After saying all this stuff in the media, the DOJ comes out and says, actually, the investigation is closed. We're not going to be prosecuting anybody else. And I think we got to the bottom of it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's not going to stand at all. That's not going to stand with anybody. Because you got to remember who Trump garnered with this belief that he released the Epstein files. He's got MAGA, sure, but he also has Q. Nobody talks about Q anymore, but they're still around. And they believe deeply that Donald Trump is going to be the one to unleash all of the truth. All the evidence will come out. When Trump is president, he'll turn over everything on the powerful cabal that has been victimizing people across the world. And then he's like, hey, yeah, there's no. And I think he thought that he could really bury it, that he could truly bury it. But he's wrong. He's wrong because there are a lot of things that he didn't account for. There are people that Trump controls. There are people who he orders around, and there are people who blindly follow him, sure. But he didn't count on things like Jeffrey Epstein talking before he died to a biographer for like 100 hours. Like just a ridiculous amount of time. I have friends I don't think I've spoken to for 100 hours. 100 hours, you probably say a lot of nothing, and you probably say some pretty interesting stuff. Those 100 hours of conversation is how we know that Trump and Epstein were tight for years. Well, even Epstein said he knows some of the inner workings of the White House because him and Trump would just chop it up. You know what I mean? That's heavy. That's a lot to try to sidestep. And Trump's been making mistakes this whole time. Even when Epstein died, right? Epstein dies, he was in jail and he passed. Who can say how? And, Ghislaine Maxwell gets, charged, has a whole trial, gets convicted, sentenced to 20 years in prison. And apparently what we're hearing now is that at the time, Trump floated pardoning her. And the people that heard that almost couldn't believe it. Why would he pardon her? That's crazy. And it's like, actually, it's not that crazy when you see the picture of all them hanging out, like, in the 90s, and they met in the 80s, and they used to fly around together. Like, that's his buddy. And he even said himself, these are his words out of his mouth, when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell during the trial, he said, I wish her well. Somebody that's on trial for trafficking. Somebody with ties to you. I wish her well. And then people were like, why would you wish her well? And then they brought it up again, and Trump was like, I wish lots of people well. And we were like, no, you don't. I've been watching you the whole time. I don't think you wish anybody well that I've seen. All you come up with is nicknames. Man floated pardoning her. That's crazy. And then the DOJ comes out, hey, yeah, this is done. Nothing else to see here. And people were having a hard time wrapping their heads around that. People who usually stump for Trump hard. No matter what he says, they manage to twist it in a way that maybe could make sense to you, and they'll say that that's what he means. One of the reasons that Trump can do everything that he does and it comes off a different way to everybody is because so many people think that they're the Trump whisperer. Trump will say something out of nowhere, And then there'll be people like, well, what he actually meant was something more reasonable that I'm going to say right now. And I'll be like, that's interesting because he didn't say any of those words in that order when he was speaking. And I think he had a teleprompter, so I don't see how that's possible. And so everybody thinks that they can be the Trump whisperer, and it's just not working this time. You see people trying to come up with why Trump, why the FBI, why the Attorney General would all of a sudden, what feels like out of nowhere, try to shut this whole thing down, right? Alex Jones, of all people, saw what the DOJ did, and he made a video crying. I think it's very important. When, when a man shows emotion, not to just ridicule him for it because it's easy. But Alex Jones cries weird. Alex Jones cry weirder than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I don't wish anything good for Alex Jones, but to see him cry felt like something happened to me too. Like Alex Jones is up here like, folks. Like his eyelids were doing sit-ups, crying. I'm sick to my stomach, and I just can't believe this thing is happening. Wipe your face, dog. Like, and even Alex Jones trying to come up with something. He's like maybe the deep state got to him, and the deep state is like in his body, and that's why he's doing this stuff right now. And then he'll be back to normal after he has one of my protein shakes. You can go to my website and buy frog protein for $19.99. No, it was crazy. Because Alex Jones, you gotta remember, this dude is a proper conspiracy theorist. Old school. There's something deeper behind everything at all times. And I'm not talking about like chemtrails. I'm not talking about like government operations. There's something deeper behind everything that happens all the time. Hillary Clinton went on The Tonight Show. Pretty sure this was on The Tonight Show, and she was trying to open a jar of pickles, right? I don't remember what the bit was, but that's what was happening. And Alex Jones pulled it up, and right after she opened the jar, he was like, you see? Do you see what happened right there? Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. Now, in the video, she has opened the jar. Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. That jar was pre-opened. All right? You can tell because there was no pop. There's supposed to be a pop. There was no. I brought the same jar. I'm going to open for him right now. And this man spends a while trying to open the jar. He spends an uncomfortable amount of time trying to open the jar. I think at one point he even had a rag too. You know, like those kitchen tricks you use? He over here, you know, sometimes you like tap the top of it, you like. And he's like, I can't even open it right now, folks. That's how you know this thing right here, she didn't open that jar. So imagine Alex Jones on Epstein. You know? I just think about the way that MAGA has been reacting, because it is a full-on revolt. Truly, it's a thing that they cannot fathom is happening. Whether it's Q, whether it's MAGA, or whether it's just people who have been following the Epstein case from the beginning. Because you got to remember what Epstein stands for. He is the ultimate boogeyman. He is the ultimate beacon for people that believe that all the elites are in on something together. And it's easy to make him that because he had an island Billionaires were flying around. People went to him for tax advice and for law advice. He was this financier, even though I don't think he had a law degree and he wasn't a CPA. So it's like, what are you doing with people's taxes that you helping? And so this dude, he represents a lot. He stands for a lot in conspiracy theory world and in just the regular world. This is someone who has ties to billionaires, to royalty, who come to him for horrific acts. And now you're telling us, there's nothing else to see here. There's nothing else to see between, me and him especially. There's nothing. Don't look. Stop. 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 And so then Trump, for his part, is watching this whole thing go down, and he's watching people argue about it in front of him. People who are, in his administration and on his side argue about the best way to handle it, going back and forth. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, all names that sound like they're about to be called down on The Price is Right. Like, all three of them are constantly going at it because then, Bongino is upset with Pam because he thinks that Pam overpromised and underdelivered and everything. Why would you even say that this stuff was coming unless you had a plan? You were just talking in front of the camera. And then Pam is going back at him, and Trump's watching this whole thing. And then in a press conference, they even asked him, they actually asked Pam Bondi a question about the tapes and the DOJ's memo and everything. And Pam Bondi was ready to answer. She was about to speak, and Trump interrupted her. He's like, hey, look, are we still talking about this guy? Why? Like years, like why? Like everybody's talking about this dude. Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm sick of this for you, Pam. You don't even feel like answering, do you? And Pam didn't catch. She wasn't quick enough. She was like, no, I don't mind answering. And I know Trump had to be sick when that happened. It's like, no, go ahead and answer then. And, Pam Bondi talked about how they had released a lot of stuff, because there's a difference between releasing evidence around a case or releasing vital information or declassifying things and then releasing stuff, right? So they released a bunch of stuff to look like they were releasing something. Like, they released the videotape of the night that Epstein got up out of here. And the problem with the tape is that it's always been talked about as if there was a tape of his cell that would prove definitively that, like, nothing untoward happened, right? But the tape isn't of, like, Jeffrey Epstein's cell with him sitting there and everything. It's of, like, a hallway. And you're giving a tape to conspiracy theorists. They're gonna do some extra looking. There's like 10 hours of tape. But there is 61 seconds missing. I don't know how long it takes to kill somebody. But if there's 61 seconds missing, I'm assuming that it takes 50 seconds and gives you 11 seconds to get down the hall. And I'm not even saying that's what happened, by the way. I'm just saying 61 seconds, that's weird. And they asked Pam Bondi about it, and Pam Bondi is like, look, it's a very old system from the 90s where the tape resets at midnight, so it takes a second to, like, reset, and that's why 61 seconds are missing. And I had a lot of questions. I had a ton of questions. My first question didn't even concern Epstein. My first question was, why are you telling everybody that? Because that is very valuable information if you're a prisoner in that. Because you know what they play in prison, the news. You probably sit there in Gen Pop like, wait, it what? Every day? I gotta go take care of something. So she says, look, this is the way that system works. So we're actually gonna be supplying more video footage to show that there's a minute missing every night. And I was like, why would you say that? The people in prison can hear you. But also, that's a pretty bad system. It was supposed to be watching somebody and it takes a minute to blink. That's pretty wild. That it's just gonna be missing every day, and you're telling us that like it's not an issue at all. Felt crazy to me. And then they release the video, and then people go digging, they go looking. And one of the things they find is that the video has been doctored. Somebody at some point read the video through Adobe Premiere and did something. And I'm not saying, look. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Adobe Premiere, all right? All I'm saying is I would have thought the government, with all their resources, you know what I mean? Like the government would have like a special program that just feel pretty cheap to make an Adobe Cloud account that you run this Epstein tape through. Like nobody's gonna know, so then people are wondering about the missing minute. They're wondering about how this video has been tampered with. And then even people who watch the full 10 hours of the video, because you gotta remember, some of these people are dedicated. They're like, there's actually a guard that leaves one way and never comes back, which proves that there's two ways to enter that hallway. And I was like, oh man, he's so screwed. Trump, he's very good at creating a distraction, and he tries. He did his best. He said that he was gonna revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. On any other day in American history, that would be a headline. Any other day, that'd be wild. And look, Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump have what I think is now like a 20-year feud going on, which is absolutely insane. The President of the United States has the ultimate and deepest beef. His arch nemesis is the actress from Harriet the Spy. That is mind-boggling. The leader of the free world is ready to have it out at any given moment with the voice actress from the main gorilla in the Disney movie Tarzan. The man with his fingers on the button for the nukes has a deep hatred in his heart, decades long, for Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award winner Rosie O'Donnell. This is an unacceptable timeline. That is crazy. I don't even know what Rosie O'Donnell did that day. Like, I don't know what even brought it up. But he says, I'm thinking about revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. If Ireland wants to keep her, they could have her. And any other day, this would be the story. He knows that. Who knows? Look, I'm of two minds about this thing because it is clearly a distraction, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'm of two minds about this thing because, one, obviously, there's a world where he's just like saying stuff to say stuff to like swiftly like move the news cycle in another direction, and he may not do anything. But the fact, as a sitting president, that he would even muster up the corner of his thumbs to put that into a phone to go out to the world is so deeply insane. Because this thing that he's doing now is not just a step too far. It's the entire field too far. Rosie O'Donnell is an American citizen, a citizen. And so if he can do that, then truly, 100%, without a doubt now, nobody is safe. What started this whole like immigration, fear-mongering, you gotta remember, because you have to understand, as a platform, people have been running on it as long as there have been, green cards and immigration programs. Oh, is it a little too much? Oh, we don't like what it's doing to the landscape of our neighborhood and everything. And people have won votes on it. That's nothing new. But what's turned is the way that people are openly nasty and disgusting about it. There's always been racism in it. It's mainly what it is, because if you really cared about people coming over the right way, the legal way, then you would make the right way and the legal way clear, and you wouldn't kidnap people at their green card interviews, and you wouldn't have like mass people picking people up after baseball practice, okay? If that's what you cared about. And you also, you've structured this thing to make these people seem like monsters. That's been the plan this entire time, because if somebody is a monster, it is part of the human condition and a flaw that we have. As long as we see somebody as a monster, whether they are or not, we don't really care what happens to them. It's why they can make conditions in prison so bad, because the assumption is, well, everybody that's there deserves to be there, so screw them, right? If they don't have clean water, or if they can't shower, or if their food's contaminated, good. Because they did something bad to earn that place, right? And it helps you strip the basic humanity of looking at another person, whether they've made a mistake or not, or looking at another person, whether from a different country or not. And if you get really good at stripping that humanity away, you can do whatever you want, and then you start to be able to do whatever you want to anybody that you want. And that's what's been creeping up this entire time. What started as like, guys, they're eating the dogs. Remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Nobody's pets are safe. It was getting so dumb. It was past like, these are criminals and they're killing us and they're coming over here to do terrible things. And then it started to morph a little bit more. Okay, look, I know that they're going through the proper channels and everything, but they have a misdemeanor in another country. Do we really want somebody like that to become a citizen? Maybe we should deport them now. No, I understand that they have their green card, but they also, I don't know, they have this weird past I don't like, or they wrote an op-ed I didn't like, or they said a thing that I didn't like. So do we really want someone like that in our country? I know that they are a fully naturalized citizen, but the way that they became a citizen is a little bit under suspect, because I said so just now. So maybe we'll deport them. And now we're all the way to the point that American citizens that I do not like can be gone. And so you see, when you let somebody's humanity get stripped away over and over and over again, and it's in the back of your head, and you even go with the lie. They probably did something, or maybe they shouldn't have done that thing, or maybe they have a good reason. When you do that enough and it finally comes for you, don't be surprised. Because the thing with the Rosie O'Donnell, it's like there's a part of it that I think is nothing. I'm not saying that thing is absolutely gonna happen. I'm just also saying that the fact that he even fixed his fingers to put it out is a problem. And normally, on any other day, it would have been such a problem that it's what everyone on the news would have been talking about. But this was a different day. This was a day where Dan Bongino is so upset he doesn't even report in to work. He's tired of arguing with Pam Bondi. He might resign. Other people are talking about resigning. This Epstein thing isn't going away. And so then Donald Trump did what he does best, what he does in a crisis, and what he does when it counts. He made it worse. Like a kid throwing a rock through his own window, he makes it so much worse. And now Trump is dealing with that fallout. There are people calling for Pam Bondi to resign. There are people that are asking Trump extra questions. And then Trump crashes out spectacularly while y'all were probably parking. And so I'm gonna do this real quick. I don't like to use my phone or bring my phone out often, but I have to read you what Trump posted. And admittedly, look, I'm gonna read every word that he posted, all right? But I will be doing it the way that I read it in my head. This is insane. What's going on, my boys? Boys in quotations. Oh no, what's going on with my boys? Boys in quotations. And in some cases, gals? Also in quotations. Are you asking us a question about what's going on with them, or are you confused about the gals specifically? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job, all caps. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect, all caps, administration, the talk of the world, all caps, and selfish people, in quotes, are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies. What? I'm not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm not saying that at all. I'm like specifically not saying that. I need you to understand that I am explicitly not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm just saying that if I was like driving in my car and I hit somebody and I somehow got away with it, but I saw them every time I closed my eyes, I'd be like, this guy never dies. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. This is a man who hasn't slept. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama? You know what's so good about files written by Obama is that Trump was sitting there knowing he know Epstein. Trump knows Epstein so well. They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night, so. That's crazy. By Obama, and it's a list. It's why are we giving publicity to files? You know what it also is? This man was sitting here knowing that he knows Epstein. He's sitting here knowing that this looks very bad. And he did the DOJ thing, even though it's not directly tied to him, even though the president isn't allowed to interfere. He clearly did the DOJ thing where he told them to shut it down. And now people are rebelling against him. And he's sitting there like, how can I make it DEI? Obama. Thanks, Obama. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? So I guess they were all in a room in this scenario, and they wrote the files together in tandem. Like, Obama just knew that everyone in the Biden administration would be in the Biden administration one day, so he gathered them all together. But this is also before Epstein ever died or anything, so Obama time traveled to like right after to know it would hurt Trump, so then he came back in regular time and he sat down Hillary Clinton, Comey, Brennan, and the loser, he had to get all the losers and criminals of the Biden administration in one room so they could write. Also, wrote the files? Isn't it a bunch of documents? And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration, I do like that he said there are criminals in the Biden administration, but there are some people who aren't criminals. They're just losers. but I want to make sure I address them too. You're not safe. You're not safe just because you're not a criminal if you're a loser as well, all right? In fact, you're a loser because you're not a criminal, all right? I have 34 felony convictions, and I'm the president, okay? You out here not even a criminal. You can't even criminal good. Loser. And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia, Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, intelligence is in quotes, the laptop from hell. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I really don't know what that is. I don't know if that's like Hunter Biden's laptop or a laptop with Hillary's emails on it, or if he just had a bad experience with an HP laptop. But like, that is also in all caps. The laptop from hell and more, question mark. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake, all caps, Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends, this man hurt because my so-called friends, as a world leader, my so-called friends is the most Regina George Mean Girls line I've ever heard in my entire life. My so-called friends is wild. Foreign diplomats, world leaders had a dinner that Trump was at, and they made fun. This is his first term. They made fun of him at the dinner. He could probably hear him in the background. They were laughing. It was like Boris Johnson and Justin Trudeau and other people, and they were over here doing him. They were over here like just making fun of him hard, cracking up, talking about how he doesn't know how to spell, everything. They were getting him good. They were roasting him. And then this man comes back to the U.S. and I'm pretty sure it was Fox News that played the tape that somebody got of them making fun of him, not with a bunch of audio, and his head was down a little bit. You could tell his feelings were hurt, for real. And he was looking down and everything. And he just said, yeah, I didn't know that, like, they were, like fake like that or anything. Even in that moment, he didn't say, my so-called friends. My so-called friends is insane. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? And this is good. This is clever. He's doing what he does. This is the Republican talking point that's going to go around. Look for it over and over and over again. Well, why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could hurt Trump, that could derail MAGA, why didn't he release it? All right, that's the most I know you are, but what am I logic I've ever heard in my life? Because you're the president now, so you could release them. I know that Biden didn't release them, but you could release them. You could. You could release them if you wanted. You could, you could, like I dare you. I was just saying, like I dare you. I bet you won't. I bet you're too scared. I bet you won't. But you could. I know Biden didn't, but you're the president now, and I thought you were a better president, so you could. You could do anything that Biden didn't do. You said that. You were like, there's a bunch of things Biden can't do that I can do, that only I can do, and one of those things is release the Epstein files. Like, do it. I bet you won't do it, though, because you're scared. No, it's just funny, man. This man, he's going through it. Why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or the MLK Jr. files, which is a terrible idea to bring up different conspiracy-laden things while you talk about there not being a conspiracy. That's crazy. That's a terrible move. This man is derailing. No matter how much success we have had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. This man is spiraling. It's never enough for some people is not what a president says. It's never enough for some people is not how you speak as a president. That's how you speak as a dad who just finished a 16-hour shift and somebody tells you to take out the trash. It's never enough for you people. Every day, I've been awake for 24 hours. It's my birthday. Yeah, thanks for the time. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And that's true. That's true. We're all going to die. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, all caps, which will continue to be our complete priority, all caps. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job, all caps. She's great, all caps. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead, all caps. Now it's the hottest, all caps, country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There's a thing I read about a long time ago. There was this leader named Father Yod, and Father Yod was the head of the Source family. The Source family was this collection of people. Some people called them a cult and everything, but they mostly kept to themselves. Like, they ran like a vegan restaurant, I think, and they just minded their own business. But one of the most interesting things about Father Yod was Father Yod told them early on, before it was ever even really a cult, before there were even a lot of members, I'm God, and don't go to a hospital. That was his thing. And that happens in a lot of cults, by the way. Don't go to the hospital because hospitals are full of experts who can provide answers that I can't. So if I can cut you off from other experts, if I can cut you off from people reasoning in a way that is just direct with logic, I've already started to bring you into the fold in a way that you'll never leave. And so Father Yod would tell them, don't go to a hospital, right? And so they didn't. Members of the Source family would not go to a hospital. And they did what I would say was generally well for a cult as far as length. A lot of cults fall apart in those first few years. You know what I mean? First year, everything sort of starts out good. Everybody's just having a good time, making friends, living in a commune and everything. And then year two, somebody try to get you drink something or do something else. Just people start coming for your mouth, you know what I mean? And all sorts of ways that get uncomfortable, and that's usually when the cult falls apart, because there are people that are like, ooh, I'm not gonna do that, I'm not gonna drink that, ooh, that's weird, no, I'm gonna go, right? And then that's when leaders sort of crumble and start having power grabs, and they get paranoid and everything. This didn't really happen, at least from what I read, to the Source family, Father Yod, and they stayed together long enough that there were members of the community that started coupling and even having children. And it got to the point where they were about to have the first baby born into the Source family, but they can't go to a hospital. They can't go to a hospital, and something feels wrong. And no one can really describe what it is, but basically this member starts going into labor in real time. So everybody is looking over to Father Yod. You know, you said you were God. You told us not to go to the hospital. I think you're gonna have to deliver this baby. And so this man does it. He delivered the baby, but when the baby came out, it wasn't making any noise. And it wasn't moving at all. And people started crying. Everyone was devastated. There was so much joy around having a new person in the family. And Father Yod, he did something. I don't know what he did, but the members described it as him just clearing the airway gently a little bit, and out of nowhere, after all that silence, after no movement, the baby cried. and it started moving. And if he thought he had followers then, if he thought that they were believers then, we don't need a hospital. And it got to the point where one day Father Yo was like, you know what? I'm done with this whole like earthly thing. I'm tired of healing y'all and everything. Everybody coming up to me all the time. I got a cold. Because that's what he would do. People would like have a cold and then he'd be like, blah, 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 and then they would still have a cold and they just get over it in 2 weeks because it was a cold, right? But then when they finally got over the cold, he'd walk by and be like, did it? And it's like, all right, well. And so, just one day, Father Yod said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a vacation. Get away from y'all for a little bit. I'll come back, but I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to take it in heaven. And so he got on a 1,300-foot cliff with a glider. Because I guess he thought he was gonna glide up enough to just like get to heaven's front door or something. Like this man is truly like lost to the sauce, right? He'd been leading the cult too long. He believed him now. I wish I had half the confidence. Because that's so crazy to think you're just gonna fly up to heaven and stay up there, but you also need a glider. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least people on ecstasy think they gonna just fly immediately, you know? This dude gets on the glider, takes off, and never did this before in his life. Wasn't trained or anything. And so he jumps off the cliff in the glider, and he goes perfectly down. He goes straight down. This man, bow, right? And so the followers like, oh, he went the wrong way. And then they come down the cliff and everything, and they come to get him. He laid out. I can't even do it. He laid out. He laid out like, but not like busted up. He's not dead. He's laid out like this. And didn't have any, to what I read at least, he didn't have any significant, any substantial like bruising or markups on his body. Another miracle, you would think. Turns out everything stayed intact, but his guts were all upside down. Like this man stayed perfectly in his body, but his lungs were in his feet. Like he and so they run up on him, and he over here laid out like, I can't even do it right. Like he laid out like, when they find him, glider crash, he laid out like this. And they run up there like, Father, Father. And he's like, get me to a hospital. Get me to a hospital. Now. And the followers are like, what? And he's like, yeah, the one on 32 Roscoe, please. Hurry up and get me to a hospital. And there's different accounts of this. I'm sure that there's followers that say he never asked for a hospital. I'm sure there's followers that say he asked for a hospital immediately. But this dude is like, get me to a hospital. And then the followers are like, what? Why though? Like, you said never go to a hospital. You said that that's not real science in there. You said that you get sicker if you go to a hospital. We can't take you to a hospital. And he said, get me to a hospital. I'm serious. Oh, I feel something upside down. You know what it probably sounded like? I mean, I'm not there. We don't have the footage or anything. But I imagine if you fall 1,300 feet down, you probably sound like that grape lady. Remember that grape lady that was crushing the grapes, and then she fell, and then she went, arr, 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 arr. Off camera, we didn't see her. Because I'm sure when he said, get me to a hospital, they really didn't understand what he was saying at first, because he was like, get me to a hospital. Get me to a, I think my spine behind my balls. Get me to a hospital. But then my man looked intact. So they're like, no, he doesn't need a hospital, he just needs rest. And then he died 9 hours later. And so when I see the way that like MAGA is turning on Trump, it just feels so much like, what? Why would you? Wait. Why would he lie? He really doesn't understand. Trump truly doesn't understand why this thing won't go away. And it's because he doesn't understand people. You know, whether it's, you know, the MAGA base, whether it's Q, whether it's anybody online, anybody interested or concerned about anything to do with Epstein, all those people are people. So if you lead people on and you lie to people, they have a reaction. You can't just get something and give nothing in return. And people won't let it go, and they won't give up on it, because this man is real. He really existed. And he really destroyed a lot of lives. And for all of our faults as humans, we care about that. And so no, we're not just gonna let it go. It's not like some passing fad of a thing. I think it is to him, because he just uses what he needs while he needs it to get what he wants. And once he has it, he throws it or the person who gave it to him away. And it's something that some people are finding out right now, that he'll betray you on a dime. Nothing matters to him. Because if this thing doesn't matter to him, then nothing matters to him at all. There's no way around it. People care because vulnerable people were victimized for a very long time. And whatever part you had to do with that, it can't be covered up, because there's nothing that screams, I'm in the Epstein files, like, stop looking for the Epstein files. One thing that I thought was incredible, one thing that put a smile on my face, was when Rosie O'Donnell responded to Donald Trump talking about revoking her citizenship. And I know I don't like to pull out my phone, but I want to read you what she said. You can actually look. You can actually. This is on her Instagram, so you can actually look this up for yourself. I'm not kidding. This is crazy. So first thing she does is post a picture of Trump and Epstein together, which is genuinely hilarious. And Rosie O'Donnell posted in the caption, "Hey Donald, you rattled again? 18 years later, I still live rent-free in that collapsing brain of yours." I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I watch the news all the time. I watch people try to defend Trump. I watch people attack Trump, and I'm chronically online. So I watch people insult Trump all day long, and I have never come across collapsing brains. Collapsing brain would actually explain everything. It would explain the made-up words. It would explain the spelling. You call me a threat to humanity, but I'm everything you fear: a loud woman, a queer woman, a mother who tells the truth, an American who got out of the country before you set it ablaze. You built walls, I built a life for my autistic kid in a country where decency still exists. You crave loyalty, I teach my children to question power. You sell fear on golf courses, I make art about surviving trauma. You lie, you steal, you degrade. I nurture, I create, I persist. You are everything that is wrong with America, and I am everything you hate about what's still right with it. You want to revoke my citizenship, go ahead and try. King Joffrey with a tangerine spray tan. Jeez. I'm not yours to silence, I never was, and then it's the Irish flag signed Rosie. And if I'm being honest, I just never expected, I never expected the president of the United States to be so effectively eviscerated by one of the supporting actresses from A League of Their Own. It just feels wild that this is life. Philly, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you had a fantastic time. I had so much fun with you. Thank you for an incredible weekend at the Fillmore. Thank you for 8 sold-out shows. I appreciate you so much.
Please make a bunch of noise right now for my friend Josh Johnson!
I watch a lot of true crime documentaries and series and stuff, and I like to watch the ones that, as best as possible, don't involve murder, because genuinely I'll be like, oh, this is wild, but this is also very sad. So I like the ones where it's like a robbery. You know what I mean? I like when it's like a huge drug bust, something you can really sink your teeth into without being like, oh, there is a family to be sad for. You know what I mean? And what I love is the process of when the person is sure they're not gonna talk. You know what I mean? They'll bring somebody in, and when the person gets brought in, some people really hang tough. Some people, door slams behind them. I've never been to jail, but I hear the doors are heavy. Door slams behind them. They actually get more tough. They sit in an interrogation like, what? I'm not gonna tell you nothing. You want something out of me? You got the wrong one, okay? And then there's other people, that door slams, and as soon as it slams, they're like, listen, I wasn't there, all right? It was Robert, it was Terry, Robert and Terry, it was their plan anyway. If anything, I'm an innocent bystander. I was just in the car. Y'all know when y'all arrested us, I was in the back seat. That's for a reason. I wasn't even the getaway driver. I thought we were going to McDonald's. There are some people who snitch so fast. Even the police can't write it down fast enough. Police are like, well, we got it on tape too, but yeah, this is too fast for the shorthand. Imagine you snitch so fast, you make a cop go, hold on. Take a breath. Because you never know who it's gonna be. There are some people who were, whether it was gang activity, is mob activity, there are people who are like the run of the litter, and they're the ones that actually hold out. They're like, I'm not telling you anything. I don't even think you have enough on me. Let's play, let's roll the dice. And then there are people, no matter how tatted up, no matter how affiliated, it might even run in the family. They might be somebody who is 3rd generation, but they don't wanna be in prison. They don't want to be in jail. And so as soon as they have the opportunity, they tell them everything. Things they didn't even ask. You see a lot of it, Then you have people who at first don't tell. Then they're ready to talk after like a couple years. You know what I mean? After a couple years, you have enough mold on your sandwich that you're like, it's really not worth it. Nobody coming to visit me. No. That's what makes me wonder what must be going through Ghislaine Maxwell's mind. You know what I mean? Look, I'm no legal expert. But I do find it wild that in this supposed cabal, this supposed billionaire ring of predators, that the only one you caught is the one you ready to make a deal with. And a deal for what? You know what I mean? Exposing more names? Bringing other people down? Probably not. Probably just being bribed to not say the president's name. You know? And look, I could be wrong. I don't think I am. Because you've already seen Trump float the idea of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. We even know from old tapes they thought about pardoning her way back when she got sentenced. You know? And yeah, no, I agree. I'm not a fan of it. She's not here. I'm not a fan. The boo. This is somebody's essence being booed. Like, this. No, it is genuinely insane what's happening because, you know, Trump floated the pardon. He even was asked by the press if he would pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, and he goes, look, I could, but let's not talk about it right now. What an insane thing to say. You got asked a yes or no question, and you somehow answered worse than yes or no. I've never been doing a test and got a true false and put maybe. I don't know, you the teacher, you tell me. That's insane. Already floated a pardon in front of us. Maybe to gauge our reaction. Maybe if there's not enough outrage, the pardon will go ahead. And then DOJ goes, have a conversation with Ghislaine Maxwell. And already, I think it was today, just today, she's been moved from the prison and she was in to a minimum security facility somewhere else. Thought we covered this. I too hope she can feel your boos. I hope boos work like laxatives, you know. Ghislaine Maxwell just sitting in jail right now. You know, booze don't travel that fast, and so it comes in waves out of nowhere. She's having a conversation. Oh yeah, Trump and Epstein were there. Ooh. That's my hope. No idea if that's the case. But, you know, you see this sort of thing happening. It feels insane. It feels insane to watch in real time. This is the only person, the one person that got caught, the one person that's being held accountable. And everybody's so obsessed with like the idea of a list or more people or whoever they want to be on the list being on the list that they forget that there were real people that deserve justice. And the idea that the only person that we've so far got might go free is unacceptable, you know? Because you see Trump floating, pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, and I can't imagine what it must be like to be a Trump aide. Like your nose must bleed every day. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, and the aide is like, what? I asked you what you want for breakfast. If anything, I think I am a little bit, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. I feel sorry for my friends who didn't see it coming, because they still believed in like a system, and they still believed in like laws, and they believed that jail existed for like a reason, you know? And I am, I'm black. So I kind of saw a good portion of this coming. It's like, anyone who's genuinely shocked that Ghislaine Maxwell might get a pardon and that she's already been moved to a minimum security prison after being convicted, but then talking to the DOJ under like new light. Anyone who's surprised by that has never watched the first 48 before. And they think that people aren't gonna see through it. You know, this is a lot like when you're in school and you didn't do your homework, but you remembered there was homework right as the teacher says, pass up the homework. And so you fighting, you've never worked a pencil harder, you fighting to get words on a page. It doesn't even make sense what you're saying. It's, you going over the whole scarlet letter as fast as you can. And then you pass it up. Teacher collects all the papers, and you think, maybe I got away with it. All we had to do was 300 words summarized in the last chapter of Scarlet Letter. I think I did it, pulled it off. Felt like 300, might have been 290. And then class is going on. Maybe you have to read while the teacher grades the homework, and then teacher says your name. Calls you up to the front. You're like, okay, don't panic. Maybe I did a good job so fast she's impressed. That's a possibility. And then you walk up to the front, and the teacher's like, did you do this just now? And you don't know what to do. You're caught. You're caught. She caught you. But there's another part of you that's like, maybe if I die with the lie, she'll believe me. What? Just now? No, I did this at home. And she's like, you sure? You're like, uh-oh, she's on to me. Yes, I did this at home. And then she was like, oh, okay, great, that's good news. I was worried that you did it just now, which means you wouldn't have your math homework. And then you remember that this has been math class the entire time. That at least feels like what Trump is going through. Because if Trump was smart, he would have done all this stuff a long time ago when it could have maybe still been believable. But now, everybody sees through it. Oh, it's crazy. It's so crazy. And then, on top of that, this is already insane enough. Already, there are so many ties to Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, that even a pardon just feels like it would be happening in our faces, right? There's no misunderstanding about the conflict of interest. There's no misunderstanding about what her role is if she does testify in front of Congress or whoever. And there's no misunderstanding about what the quid pro quo is between the two of them. You know what I mean? And even in that moment, on top of all that, Donald Trump floats pardoning Diddy. And it's like, that one doesn't even have anything to do with you. I don't think. Don't you have enough to deal with? That's crazy. As someone who is not in jail, I'm sweating about everybody who's about to be out of jail. This this is insane. Oh. Oh, so then already the public, especially by the media, somewhat, somewhat potentially unintentional, but the media did a disservice to the public when it came to Diddy's trial, because there's a lot that we know of Diddy. There's a lot that we know that he did, that he's alleged to have done. And I think that the state put forward a remarkably bad case to try to lock Diddy up. Because I think from the public's view, they see the trial and you see it through the lens that the media is selling. The media wants you to keep watching, they want you to tune in every day. And so they make it look like he's about to do 10,000 years, right? They really hype this thing up. They never really mention that all the while the trial is going on, pieces are getting dropped. Left and right, charges are getting dropped. There's things that the state is focusing on. There's things that the state is dropping. There's things that we understand that Diddy is at least allegedly done from all the documentaries that came out. You would think that Diddy was 16 OJs, the way that he had documentaries coming out about him every month. Everything Diddy ever did to anybody, they got their own documentary on Tubi, on HBO, on Hulu. Everywhere. Oh, he hung me out of a window. Like, just nonstop stories, right? But it's important to remember what he's being charged with and what he's on trial for. So then things would even come up during the trial. Things that are illegal, that they were just talking about plainly, all to get to the thing he's actually being charged with. So as bad as this testimony sounds, and as many things that are going on, you have to remember, these are not the things he's being charged with. And I think that media got carried away. I think the news got carried away because they finally had something juicy, something big, something that they knew was going to last for days, weeks, months, that wasn't the same old stuff, something that had a bunch of intrigue in it. Apparently there's all these tapes. Apparently he has all this blackmail on all of Hollywood. There's all these things that were supposed to be coming out during the trial, you know? And then the state supposedly makes their case. They read out the verdict. Everyone is sure that this man is about to do 10 million years. And then they read the first one, not guilty. And they start reading them, and there's 5 charges, and 3 of them not guilty. The 3 that carried the most weight, the 3 that had like a minimum 15, 20 years, you know? And then there's 2 misdemeanors. Those 2 misdemeanors he is found guilty of. The people are perplexed. How is he found guilty of these things that are at least tangentially related to the other charges that he hasn't been found guilty for? What's happening, right? And those charges, the things that he was convicted of, they don't carry some mandatory minimum. You know, he could get time served. He could get up to 10 years. He could still do 20 years. But it's not likely that he'll do 20 years, because that is the most extreme of cases where you give people the maximum. And I even rewatched a little bit of the reading of the verdict, and I just thought to myself, could get time served. Why would you bother pardoning him? Like, he might already be walking out of jail that day. That's such a crazy thing to do. You don't have enough going on with everybody thinking you were like on an island 152 times or whatever. To be a Trump aide, you must need heart medication, because they already try to convince him, look, that looks bad if you just pardon Ghislaine out of nowhere after all this time and everything, after everything she knows and the pictures that y'all are in together, all the pictures that you're 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 in together, the other pictures that you're in together, the pictures that you're in together,
all of the pictures that you're in together. Plus, she did have 19 phone numbers for you. That's not a good look either. And then Trump says, I see what you're saying. I understand. All right, look, what we're gonna do, we do best, all right? Gonna run a little interference. We're gonna run a little distraction, okay? And we're also gonna pardon Sean Diddy Combs at the same time. Karen, press secretary, must be fighting demons. I can't imagine. Look, everyone, whether it's Kellyanne Conway, it's Sean Spicer, anyone who has had to represent the Trump administration go out to the press and answer questions. Look, I understand they chose that job. I understand that they chose to be there. But to a degree, you do have to wonder what the conversation is like before they go out. When they get handed a binder, and at the last second, one of the aides says, and he gonna pardon Diddy. So, no matter who it was, whether it was Sarah Huckabee Sanders, anyone who has represented the administration on the news or in the press room or anything like that, there's at least been 1 or 2 days where they had a 1,000-yard stare because they were like, how am I gonna pull this together? Because look, things came out during Diddy's trial, things that made you think, of course, this jury is gonna find this man guilty. They have to look at everything that they've heard, but you gotta remember the things he was on trial for and the things that they heard didn't always line up. There was one day of testimony that truly blew me away in that case, and that's hard to say because plenty of those days were rough to listen to. But there is one day in particular that has stuck with me in a different way than the other days. It was the day that Kid Cudi testified. Now, famously, still somehow allegedly, Diddy supposedly blew up Kid Cudi's car. You're bringing the man who has his car blown up to testify. You would think that that'd be one of the charges. I've never blown up a car in my life. But if I was brought to court to sit and hear testimony of my crimes, I would imagine the car blowing up would be one of them listed. Anyway, they bring in Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi's testifying about the timeline when he dated Cassie, things that happened between him and Diddy. And then he describes a day that is truly harrowing. Kid Cudi is testifying that while he was gone, he was actually, I believe, spending some time with Cassie, that Diddy hears about the relationship, is very upset about it, and Diddy went to and broke into Kid Cudi's house, right? So already, Diddy in your home, that's terrifying. Diddy in your home is the devil's version of Elf on the Shelf. You don't know what he gonna do, you don't know where he gonna be. Woo. So Diddy was in his home. Now, I'm a little fuzzy on this part, but apparently, I believe at least, that it was Diddy's assistant that called Kid Cudi to let him know, hey, okay, ooh, how do I tell you this? There's no good way. Diddy in your house. He is all up in your house. I mean, I drove him. He made me. He's like, where you live? And I was like, and we went over to your house. And so he's in your house. I'm not now, I'm outside. You know, he told me to wait here. I don't know what he gonna do. And so, Kid Cudi rushes home. And not only is he rushing home, he actually, this is at least as I understand it, must have Diddy's number because they had a conversation. And he was like, yo, you in my house? You in my house? Bass in voice, ready to beat somebody down. You in my house? And apparently, Diddy very calmly said, yeah. Kid Cudi better than me. If it was me, I wouldn't have a home anymore. If it was me, I'd be like, all right, then you got it, then that's, I mean, if you're already there. Someone breaking and entering into your home and then calmly telling you they broke and entered into your home is more terrifying than I think y'all are giving it credit for. Because then Cudi, apparently, according to testimony, was like, I'm headed there right now, like ready to really beat this dude down, right? And then Diddy said, okay, I'll be waiting for you. I wasn't in court. I had to read all this. And I haven't read a novel by Stephen King scarier than what I read between the two of them. Kid Cudi gets home. Diddy's gone. He walks into the house. Now, that's braver than me. I would assume he's already planted a bomb somewhere. But Kid Cudi walks into the house, is looking around, assessing the damage, and while Diddy was there, he put Kid Cudi's dog in the bathroom, then opened all his Christmas presents and left. That is so insane. We are dealing with pure evil. That is so insane. Open all his Christmas presents. How is he all at once one of the most menacing figures that hip hop has ever seen and a third grade bully? How is it possible that both of these characters hold the same space in the same body? Because that is so particularly evil. He said, I walked over, Christmas presents unwrapped. I opened the bathroom door, my dog confused. And why wouldn't the dog be confused? Let's, for a moment, if you will, put yourself in the dog's paws, all right? You're a dog. You're a dog. You're a dog. And you're at home, chilling, as you should be. And then the door opens. Oh, Papa? No, it's not the owner that you love. It's Sean Diddy Combs. I don't know what type of dog Cudi has. I don't know if it's a Scooby-Doo type dog, but I imagine any dog would be like, ready? And then Diddy walks over to you confidently, like he knows you. And then he puts you in the bathroom and you're like, okay, I guess that's the best possible outcome. Oh, wow, okay, oof. I thought something way worse was gonna happen. I'm not gonna lie to you. Wow, that's great. From what I've heard about you, the bathroom, man, I don't love it in here, but it's better than whatever you're about to do. And then Sean, Diddy, Combs, opens all the Christmas presents and goes, well, my work is done here, and exits. This is how evil what he did is. He already messed up the call to the police. Because now you gonna call the police and have to explain to the police that the only thing that Diddy stole from you was wonder. Imagine that call to the police. You gotta call the police and tell them that Diddy, and the police are asking you very reasonable questions. They're over here like, is he still in the home? I don't know. Hopefully that would make this whole thing a bit more serious. Right now he's left it at hilarious, which is a sick thing to do. No, it's truly insane. Not even destroyed, unwrapped. I can't leave this alone until y'all recognize how dirty this is. Imagine. Lots of people here celebrate Christmas. Lots of people exchange Christmas gifts. Imagine if you came home and there just wasn't paper. And now everybody in the family either like happy or disappointed, like, oh, you got me the Theragun that all right, we're like a couple months out, so can I have it now, I guess? Truly an evil man. And Trump is floating, pardoning Diddy. Even before, this is what's odd, even before this Epstein stuff popped up, Trump had floated the idea of pardoning Diddy mid-trial. And I was like, I didn't know they went together like that. That's weird. Imagine being a white man in your 80s and your favorite rapper is Diddy. No Raekwon, no Rakim, no Run DMC, Diddy. Okay. And even then he had floated the idea of pardoning Diddy. And who knows, maybe something happened. Maybe some money exchanged hands. Maybe somebody said something to somebody and started it in motion and everything. But I can tell you this, justice system aside, the only person working hard to make sure that Diddy doesn't get a pardon, it isn't the state. No. It's not like the DA or the lead prosecutor or anything like that. The person working their hardest to make sure that Diddy does not get a pardon, that he doesn't get released back into society is 50 Cent. $50 Cent was so excited when Diddy was arrested. There's a video. You could watch the video. It's about 8 seconds long, but it's very, very funny. And it is 50 Cent laughing in the car when I guess he heard the news that Diddy had been arrested. And this man is chuckling. The joy on this man's face. And then he's chuckling to himself and he goes, he goes, spend Christmas in jail. I've never hated anybody that much. That's so good. Oh, he gonna spend Christmas in jail. He was laughing hard. He was laughing the way that sitcoms used to make people laugh. Like, just, Christmas in jail. And so when 50 Cent heard that Donald Trump was floating pardon for Diddy, he went to work. He did what he does best. He trolled. 50 Cent just started posting everything bad that Diddy ever said about Donald Trump and tagging Donald Trump. This man, is this your friend? I wouldn't do that if I was you, Mr. President. You won't believe what he said about you. Oh, no. No, Donald Trump, this is not one of your African Americans, okay? It's been tough. I've been trying to find, like, really, whether I'm reading or I'm watching, I've been trying to find pretty much any news story that isn't about Trump and Epstein, you know? And I came across one that genuinely shocked me in Florida. They, yeah. In Florida, the Tallahassee police arrested Chuck E. Cheese at Chuck E. Cheese. Apparently, Chucky had done some wire fraud. And so the Tallahassee police showed up to the Chuck E. Cheese. And they were ready to take him in, all right? Cuffs already out. And they arrested Chucky mid-birthday party. You couldn't wait an hour and a half? You know where he is. It's not like he's gonna get far in the costume. They arrested Chucky. Those poor kids. Imagine. Picture, if you will, being 6 years old and you're having a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese because the economy is not doing great. But you're having a good time, you're enjoying it, you're like, cheese pizza, so they say. Delicious yum, right? You're just trying to put on a good face. You jump into the ball pit that is not nearly deep enough. The ball pit that is full of children under the balls because every kid thought it was the funniest thing in the world to pop up out of the balls, but that meant that the ball pit was actually a hard surface because it's made of bodies. You jump into the ball pit doing like a big old face plant thinking you're gonna slide down into the balls, and you just bang heads with another child. You get out of the ball pit concussed. Chucky offers you a flat Diet Coke. Look, there's a hierarchy to costumed mascots. Now, the most athletic are gonna go to teams. You ever been to a sports game and you see their mascot stretches before, they doing wild moves like You go to Disney, there's a lot of walking, but it's a lot of poise. It's a lot of like the stances, you know. You get somebody that's doing goofy, and they're really doing goofy. They got the, you know, Chucky. Chucky, as far as like costumed mascots go, Chucky doing a lot of the same. Trying to figure out how to put this. Chucky, the qualifications to be Chucky at Chuck E. Cheese are a lot like the qualifications to work at a Waffle House, okay? You're gonna get in the costume, they're gonna tell you do your best, all right? Do your absolute best, and if somebody swing at you, you can swing back after they hit you the first time. You gotta let them get that first hit in. If you hit first, that's assault, all right? And you'll be fired. But look, if they put hands on you first, then hey, you gotta get it how you live and go ahead and swing on them. So imagine you're surprised when at your 6th-year birthday party, you're celebrating 6 years on this planet, and it hasn't been a great 6. You're a little too young to like remember COVID, but you know mom and dad are weird. You clapping with your friends. And Chucky's doing his thing, trying to like find the beat. And you're like, I think he doing something. I can't tell. And then the Tallahassee police walk in. And they cuff Chucky right there in front of you for wire fraud. Y'all couldn't wait. You know where he works. He wasn't gonna get away. No, we gotta cuff him right now in front of the children. Traumatize them. Nah, forget these kids. We gotta dish out justice real quick. Now the kids distraught. They over. You know that? Okay, all right. I'm sorry. It's funny because it's like I can see the kids being like, "What do you do?" What do you do? You know that rumble in the throat when you really cry? There's a certain way you can cry when you're 6 that you never cry again. Like, this is like honestly, a 6-year-old will drop an ice cream and they'll be like, just mixing Disney voices, half Ursula, half Jafar. What do you do? Let him go, he ain't did nothing. Kids out here vouching for him. He was here the whole time. Because you know that. You know, like when a kid cries long enough, they start coughing. When a kid get real upset and they full of mediocre pizza. Yo, free Chucky! No. Now you getting arrested at Chuck E. Cheese, they perp walking you slow just to embarrass you. Y'all really couldn't wait till he got out the costume too, because you know he can't walk fast with those feet. He still got the costume feet on and everything. So now they over here. They get Chucky outside, slam him up against that car. Boom. Patting Chucky down. Why you need to pat Chucky down? That would be wild though. Chucky had like a full-on Glock on him, like that would be crazy. If Chucky he doesn't care where he is. He could be at Chuck E. Cheese. He could be in the streets. He keep that thing on him. The thing that I think would have been probably the toughest for the police, because I personally read about this, I didn't see video, so I don't know if this happened or not, but it would be hard. It'd be very difficult to, open up that car door, and when they walked him out, they did it in full costume, like the head was still on, like. That's crazy. This is a personal vendetta now that you have with Charles Entertainment Cheese. That you couldn't at least take the head off in Chuck E. Cheese. Imagine they take the head off. I mean, I'm sure the kids would have been more upset. Chucky Black. I could have sworn. Anyway. Look, there's not full video that I saw. This is all what I've read, but it's gonna be hard to put your hand on the back of Chucky's head and get him in the car without it looking like police brutality. Because it's not gonna fit. The head is too big. So now you over here, watch your head. Kids at the glass of the door. You know how Chuck E. Cheese built. They at the glass like, no. They beating up Chucky. Police like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to get the head in. No, he won't fit. He can't even feel it like that. No, don't do that. Everybody start recording. Look what they doing to Chucky, y'all. And they take you down to the police station. Perp walking you. Downtown. Imagine if you got arrested that day. For possession of illicit substances. It could be anything. It could be acid, it could be shrooms, it could be anything. And you got arrested for possession. You're not a dealer. They caught you doing, essentially, a victimless crime, trying to enjoy yourself, enjoy your Saturday. Maybe you don't have your life together. Maybe you're not invited to your kid's birthday party. And you get arrested, you're sitting downtown, waiting to be processed, and then Ayo. Ayo. I know I got a right to remain silent. I know this may hurt me in court. But did a giant mouse just walk through here fully arrested? Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was still very high from drugs. It's insanity, you know what I mean? Now you gotta do everything. How you gonna take Chucky fingerprints? These aren't even functional. I don't know if they feet or hands, but they're not. Mug shot too. Those mug shots are cold. They're just like, ready, face me. Turn. Turn. No. Now you gotta sit in holding. Imagine, all you did was get a little drunk. Maybe you get into a fight at a bar, you sitting in the drunk tank, and the only other is Chucky a person? Nobody else in there but you and Chuck E. Cheese. And whether it's jail or a birthday, they never really gave, at least that I know of, Chucky a voice. Chucky was always silent. At every birthday party I had at Chuck E. Cheese, Chucky was silent. You know, just do the. Imagine you sitting there with Chuck E. Cheese in jail. You're wondering how your life took this turn. You look over at Chucky, and Chucky mad. Chucky like, you know, I thought I had that wire fraud on lock. I'm wondering who snitched. I'm wondering what went wrong, yeah? You look over at Chucky, and Chucky's like, what you looking at, dog? You got a problem? But all you see is... Yo, you want step? I'm just saying that in this like kangaroo circus of a court and justice system where we know the government is playing in our face, playing with really dangerous people who have done terrible things. If you're gonna pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, if you're gonna pardon Diddy, then at least yo, free Chucky, all right? Denver, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Mira.